What's up, guys? Dan Garner, strength coach and nutrition specialist here. I wanted to make a little slideshow today on the supplement D-Aspartic Acid. The reason why I'm making this is because D-Aspartic Acid is really popular at this day and age for the purposes of increasing your testosterone and therefore leading to improvements in body composition, muscle gain, fat loss, exercise performance. So a lot of people are using it, and really we do not have a lot of human data on it, and even the human data that we do have is pretty underwhelming. So this is a presentation I want to make for you guys just to let you know what's out there on this supplement as opposed to what's on the label of some products. So I'll give you a little background on D-Aspartic acid. It's a naturally occurring amino acid in neuroendocrine tissue. It functions as a neurotransmitter. It's potentially an important component in the reproduction due to its involvement in the synthesis of sex hormones, and it is linked to increases in luteinizing hormone and testosterone. Now, it's most popular for increases in testosterone and used in bodybuilding and athletic circles for the purpose of increasing your training gains, But what does the actual data have to say about it? Well, let's go through it. It's not going to take a long video to go through the human data on this. The human research is quite scarce. There's only a handful of studies on DAA, whereas there's several hundred on creatine monohydrate. So already right away, it gives you a difference here on what kind of research consensus that we can create from this product. Because you can prove anything with a study, but a research consensus is much different. A research consensus is a compilation of hundreds of studies, meta-analysis, all reaching a consensus on a given compound and its effects within the body. But when you only have a handful of research studies or research trials done on it, it's very hard to say that you have any sort of consensus. So here's one that got everybody the most excited, okay? It was Topo al. In 12 days, healthy men between ages of 27 and 37 consumed 3.12 grams of DAA daily, and they saw increases of 33% in luteinizing hormone and 42% in total testosterone. These numbers are pretty decent, right? This is what got everybody really excited back in 2009. And even with 3 days after discontinuing use, because they're doing a 12 days on, 3 days off cycle, 3 days after coming off of it, LH was still 14% above baseline, and testosterone was still 22% above baseline. So this is what caught a lot of people's attention, and especially the bodybuilding community's attention. But there are some negatives to this. Although it looks promising and that sounds great on paper, a 12-day duration is very short, and it doesn't tell us what happens to the levels afterwards. Do they crash? Do they keep going up? Does the body have a negative feedback mechanism to where it just goes back to neutral after the initial dose response? We don't know. The 12-day duration is too short to measure any effect on muscle mass, fat loss, or performance, which is what this population is really most interested in. So we need to link those two for sure. The 12-day duration is too short to measure safety and side effects. The trial was not done on resistance-trained men, which kind of limits its applicability to the people watching this video right now. And lastly, the measurement of total testosterone doesn't tell us anything about the free testosterone and the more bioavailable form of testosterone in the body, which is going to make the bigger changes towards your training. So although the numbers look cool on paper, there are some significant flaws within the research as well. But this is the one that got everybody talking, and this is the one that's still on supplement labels today. But subsequent research by Willoughby and Lutholtz, this was the only one done on healthy men partaking in heavy resistance training for 28 days in a double-blind, placebo-controlled fashion. So this is great, statistically significant research, and it's very, very well controlled. And no differences were seen in muscle gain, fat loss, muscle strength, or testosterone relative to placebo, giving the treatment group 3 grams of D-aspartic acid daily. So that's a pretty well-controlled trial, seeing no differences in what we're actually looking for. What's happening with testosterone, what's happening with muscle strength and fat loss, and what's happening with performance. So no difference is seen over 28 days, which is longer than the one that initially got everybody really excited. And further research came out from Danilo et al. And it wasn't a body composition or performance study. It was performed on untrained subfertile men consuming 2.66 grams of D-aspartic acid for 90 days and measuring the rate of pregnancies that occurred afterwards with their partners, because D-aspartic acid is associated with increasing fertility and increasing sperm count, but also sperm motility. So great aspects to have, but not going to help you out if you're trying to increase your squat. The results of this did result in an increase anywhere from 30 to 60% between the subjects, but again, no measurement on performance or body composition at all, muscle gain, fat loss, and once again, free testosterone was not measured. So we're limiting it to the non-training population, and they're also not measuring the things that we want to measure. So we saw some increases in testosterone, but what does that really mean for us? Not a whole lot. Further research came out from Melville, and they used healthy resistance-trained subjects and measured 2 different treatments of either 6 grams of D-aspartic acid daily or 3 grams of D-aspartic acid daily, and a placebo group consuming some flour. This was a really interesting study, and it was really the nail in the coffin, in my opinion, for now, because the 6 gram D-aspartic acid daily dosing protocol decreased total testosterone by 12.5% in 2 weeks and decreased free testosterone by 15.3%. So they are measuring the things that we want measured, and we saw decreases in both. And now the standard dose of D-aspartic acid at 3 grams had no statistically significant effects on testosterone levels, but although they didn't reach statistical significance, it should still be noted that there was a decrease seen in testosterone in that group as well. And the placebo group consuming flour actually had much higher testosterone levels than the 2 groups consuming D-aspartic acid. And the interesting thing about the D-aspartic acid groups was that none of the other sex hormones measured had any effect, and the DAA specifically lowered testosterone levels. So not a good showing for D-aspartic acid in that study. So considering that's what human data that we have on it that I can make in this short of a video, the tentative conclusion is that although the initial Topa et al. Study with the big increase that we talked about in the beginning that got people excited, it looked promising in 2009, but the continuing data that keeps coming out towards testosterone production, body composition change, exercise performance is really underwhelming, and what positive data we do have is very limited in its population and is still too scarce to create any conclusions from. So we have very, very limited positive data, we have some neutral data, and now we actually even have negative data. So until further research comes out, the tentative conclusion is that I would not recommend D-aspartic acid as a performance enhancer or body composition supplement. Thanks a lot for watching.